I've seen meteor showers come down before. It wasn't a meteor falling out of the sky, and it went up, not down. Meteors fall from the sky. They don't go back up into the sky.
The Rendlesham Forest incident was a series of reported sightings of unexplained lights near Rendlesham Forest in Suffolk, England in late December 1980, which became linked with claims of UFO landings. The events occurred just outside RAF Woodbridge, which was used at the time by the United States Air Force. United States Air Force personnel, as well as Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, claimed to see things which resembled a UFO sighting.
And that's when we saw the object out here, and it came into the forest. It went through the trees, bobbing up and down.
The occurrence is the most famous of claimed UFO events to have happened in the United Kingdom and is among the best known reported UFO events worldwide. It has been compared to the Roswell incident which happened in the United States, and it is sometimes referred to as Britain's Roswell. The UK Ministry of Defence has stated the event posed no threat to national security and therefore it was never investigated as a security matter. Skeptics have stated that the sightings could be a misrepresentation of nocturnal lights, bright stars, or even the Oxford-Ness lighthouse. So let's have a look at what happened. At around 3 a.m. on 26th of December 1980, a security patrol near the east gate of RAF Woodbridge saw lights apparently descending in nearby Rendlesham Forest. At the time, astronomers did state that these lights could have been natural pieces of debris seen burning up as a fireball over southern parts of England. Servicemen initially thought it was a downed aircraft, and according to Lieutenant Colonel Halt, upon entering the forest to investigate, they witnessed a glowing object that was metallic in appearance with colored lights, and as they attempted to approach the object, it appeared to move through the trees, and the animals on a nearby farm apparently went into a frenzy. One of the servicemen, a Sergeant Jim Penniston, claimed to have encountered a craft of unknown origin while in the forest. However, there was no publicized mention of this at the time, and there was also no corroboration from other witnesses. Shortly after 4 a.m, the local police were called to the scene, but they reported that the only lights that they could see were from the Oxford-Ness lighthouse, which was some miles away on the coast. After daybreak, servicemen returned to a small clearing near the eastern edge of the forest and found 3 small impressions on the ground in a triangular pattern, as well as burn marks and broken branches on nearby trees. And at 10:30, the police were called out again, this time to view the impressions, and they basically concluded that these impressions could have been made by animals.
The marks on the ground, the British police officers who were called out shortly after the first incident and shown these holes in the ground thought that they were simply rabbit burrows where animals had sort of made a hole in the ground, and the forester thought the same.
In the early hours of 20th of December 1980, the Deputy Base Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, visited the site with several servicemen, where they took radiation readings and actually found there to be radiation at the location, as well as a small burst of radiation about half a mile from the landing site. And Charles Halt actually recorded the events on a small micro cassette recorder. And it was during this investigation that a flash of light was seen across the field in the east, almost in line with a farmhouse, as witnesses had seen on that first night. It was also noted that the Oxford-Ness lighthouse is visible further to the east in the same line of sight. Later on, according to Halt, 3 star-like lights were seen in the sky, 2 in the north and 1 in the south, about 10 degrees above the horizon.
And went out in the field on the other side, and that's when we saw the objects in the sky to the south, and the object sent down to beam on us.
Charles Halt was also responsible for the first piece of primary evidence which was made available to the public in the form of a memorandum which became known as the Halt Memo, which was also made publicly available in the United States under the U.S. Freedom of Information Act in 1983. David Clark, a consultant for the National Archives, has investigated the background of this memo as well as the reaction to it at the Ministry of Defense. And his interviews with personnel involved confirmed the cursory nature of the investigation made by the Ministry of Defense and failed to find any evidence for any other reports on the incident made by the United States Air Force or UK apart from the Halt Memo. Halt has since gone on the record stating that he believes he witnessed an extraterrestrial event which was then covered up. There were also a few other eyewitness accounts of this incident, one being United States Air Force security guard John Burroughs, who served 27 years in the US Armed Forces. Burroughs stated that when he first went to go investigate the sighting, he saw a beacon in the distance in the forest with green, red, orange, and white lights.
It just looked like the forest was lit up, like a Christmas light display.
Burroughs goes on to say that when himself and one of his colleagues approached, the white light silently exploded, whereupon they then saw a red, oval, sun-like object rise through the trees and shoot back towards the coast. Burroughs has also stressed that he has never stated that it was a spaceship purely because of the fact that he didn't know, and that according to him, he felt like it was a form of energy or plasma which could be a form of intelligence.
And things seemed to slow down and things didn't feel right.
He has also gone on to publish a book titled Weaponization of an Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, in which he outlines research that he says shows the incident was caused by experiments in harnessing an energy field in the forest. Another witness was a gentleman by the name of Larry Warren, who was also a member of the Air Force security, who stated that he was taken by truck to join other Air Force personnel to investigate a disturbance in Rendlesham Forest on the 28th of December, 1980.
How do I know the truth on these events? I know from firsthand experience.
And according to him, what they found was a landed UFO. And the next day when they were debriefed, they were instructed to tell no one about what they had seen, as bullets are cheap, meaning that if they did tell someone, their lives would be in danger. Warren also went on to write a book along with investigative writer Peter Robbins titled Left at Eastgate. It should, however, also be noted that Peter Robbins, who co-wrote the book with Larry Warren, has since come out and accused Warren of misleading him with false accounts of the Rendlesham incident. Jim Penniston recalls touching the craft or symbols that were on the craft, and binary code was then kind of, flashing in his mind. And I believe that him as well as Burroughs actually suffered some health setbacks after the encounter with the UFO. And along with Burroughs, he also wrote a book titled Encounter in Rendlesham Forest. It should also be noted that Penniston's version of events, with the whole binary code interaction, only came out years after the incident took place. And a lot of people believe that this makes him less credible and that he possibly made up a lot of the stories in order to increase book sales. Now, in conclusion, the Rendlesham UFO incident is an extremely fascinating case, and what exactly happened over the course of those nights is, I suppose, up for debate. I mean, there have been a lot of theories, from it being a spacecraft from the future to it being a military prank, and a more unremarkable theory of the Oxford Nurse Lighthouse, which I don't really buy into. I think military personnel definitely have can definitely spot the difference between a lighthouse and a type of craft. So I don't particularly buy into that theory. But one question that I personally always kind of ask myself is that whenever there's a witness to some of these paranormal events that start writing and publishing books, I immediately start asking questions, because they're publishing books. You publish a book to make money. And I'm not saying nothing happened, but you kind of have to ask, okay, the events depicted in these books, how much of it is sensationalized in order to increase book sales? So it continues to be an extremely fascinating topic, and probably one of the greatest mysteries of our time.